Good evening, folks. Just waiting for people to get in on the stream here. So far, I see two of yous. Let's see, we're live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bill's Box of Sound. We're live on YouTube on Bill's Box of Sound. And Michael P. Dawson says, bring on the fudge. Sorry, the vanilla fudge isn't here right now. Maybe Iron Butterfly in a memorial since Doug Engel passed away. But anyway, let's get the Diet Coke poured here while we're listening to some unreleased Spudlock in the background. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff right there. Half a glass full of foam. And the fun science experiment that I love doing is just pouring a little bit of black velvet in there, and all the foam goes down like that. All right, let's shut this off. Quiet, you numbskulls. I'm broadcasting. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name's Bill. You're watching Bill's Box of Sound. It's Saturday evening, 10 p.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. on the West Coast. And wherever you are in your little corner of the world, it's that time. The time where we get up here and we talk about music. And I got to talk about a few things, then we'll get on to what I wanted to make this about. And I hear you, Paul. Let's talk about this. Let's be logical about this. The big rumor today is that famed Frank Zappa percussionist Ed Mann has passed away. We don't know what of. I have seen things on Facebook. I have seen the thing on his Wikipedia page appear and disappear more than once today. At one time, it said he died on June 1st, 2024, at the age of 70. And then I refresh it, and then nothing. There's no news articles. There is only speculations. Now, Paul Ayers is saying right now, and I have no reason to doubt you, Paul, but I want to hear it from something more actual. Now, I see that Arthur Barrow somehow verified the rumor, and we do love Art Barrow, a past clone meister for Mr. Zappa, and one hell of a musician himself. So I don't know. Just before I started the show, and then I'll refresh the screen again. Let's see. Ed Mann, Wikipedia. Let's see. Does not include the word dead. Let's see if I put died on here and see if that'll change it. All right. Let's see. I don't know. When I type died, Edward R. Mann, who died in 2023, who was in San Antonio, Texas, that's a different person altogether. But when I bring up Wikipedia page, the word died is not in there. So let's go to his Wikipedia page. And here it says died at the age of 70. That's all it says. Ed Mann died June 1st, 2024. And the edit was made. Let's see. Hold on a second. I had seen that it was just updated by somebody on Instagram. That's it. Just Instagram.com. Let's see. Let me go back to that and let's see. Yeah, I am hoping it's false. And I do have something to say about this as to whether he's dead or not. I do have some good and bad things to say about Ed Mann. Okay. Um, but mostly good, more good than bad. Anyway, let's go on Instagram. Let's see here. And I'm going to search. Let's see. No, I'm not going to search for scantily clad women. Let's see here. Ed Man and search. And of course, it hooks up with Meta AI. Let's see. I'm not familiar with a specific individual named Ed Man. There may be multiple individuals with that name. Could you provide more context or information about which Ed Man you're referring to? For example, is he a public figure, athlete, artist, someone else? Blah blah blah. Okay, so that doesn't do anything. Stupid Facebook and stupid Instagram have replaced their search with their dumb Meta AI. Yeesh. So, until I see some sort of actual news article that says that Ed Man has passed away, I am not going to believe this stuff. Okay. Now, Ed Man, unbelievable percussionist. I know that in the past few years, his daughter passed away. Ed had just started putting up a whole bunch of really cool posts on Facebook, with stories about his work with Zappa and getting employed with Zappa, and and then all of a sudden, the news came that his daughter had passed away. All the stories stopped. All communication stopped. I did see something past few months that he was planning on selling all of his percussion instruments, and other people were posting that they were buying them too, and that he was planning on quitting the music business forever. The last time that I know that he was doing something musically was with the Zappa band, but that is just about it. Now, according to Michael P. Dawson, says Chad Wackerman has also posted something about it on Facebook. Well, let me go on Facebook for a second here, folks. I am Facebook friendly. And let's see. No, I don't want that. Let's go to Facebook. Let's see. I'll search for Chad Wackerman. Chad Wackerman official. Let's see. All right. This is the closest thing to the truth, or something legit that I can find. According to this, on the Chad Wackerman official on Facebook, it says, "Rest easy, my old friend Ed Man, a masterful and brilliant percussionist. He could read anything Frank Zappa threw at him and never once heard him make a mistake. He toured with Frank for 11 years and went on to record with many of the greats. Ed was a creative force and a great teacher and will be missed." And it's got this very popular picture of the 1988 band. So I will have to reach out to the Vaultmeister. I don't know if he's listening to us tonight or watching us tonight. I know he had a gig last night with the One Shot Deal band. I don't know if he also has a gig tonight with the One Shot Deal band or not. But I will be talking to Joe Travers, the Vaultmeister, very, very soon. Also been in contact with the creator of the Zappacast, which is Scott Parker, and he hasn't posted anything about it. And you know that he's going to do something like that. So I don't know what's going on here. It's weird. It's interesting. Be very sad if he has passed away, and from what I don't know, but the listing on his Wikipedia page is very, very vague. Now, if a article does come out about it from some trusted musical source, then we'll know that it's for real. But right now, so far, the only thing we have is that Chad Wackerman has posted that that Ed Mann has passed away. What of, we don't know. Interesting thing here, the band from Utopia, which features Bobby Martin, Ray White, and Scott Tunis, is going to be playing in Cleveland on July 7th, is it? Double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6th, actually. July 6th, they're going to be playing in Cleveland. I may go to that show. If I do go to that show, there will not be a box of sound on that night. Let's see. Okay. I do intend to check out that band, Paul. But okay. One thing I didn't get around to last week is I got around to a whole bunch of information. I mean, we talked about people that had passed away. Talked about that Stax documentary, which, by the way, I saw the rest of the Stax documentary. It's on Max. Highly recommended. It's 4 1-hour episodes, pretty much, give or take a few minutes, and really good stuff. So check it out. We talked about the dreaded Apple Music Top 100 list. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I still haven't received my Devo Hi-Fi copy of their third album, Freedom of Choice. And I got some email from Rhino Records saying, could you please rate our customer service? So I wrote back to him. I said, goose egg, 0. I do not like your customer service, because when I wrote to you, you got back to me and said, oh, well, we hope it ships real soon. But I wasn't calling him about that. But still, the record has not been marked as shipped. It hasn't arrived. And I have received no communication of that sort. So I'm broadcasting it out on YouTube. There's something wrong here with Rhino Records and them saying that, oh yes, the new Rhino Hi-Fis are available now and ready to ship. So they make them available. I order them and they don't show up. So that's what's going on with this. You know, they're almost as bad as another big company, which begins with the big letter U. Anyway, I did get one new record. I didn't even talk about it last week. And it is the new album by Billie Eilish. You're saying, Bill, why would you ever want to buy a record by Billie Eilish? Because I like her. She's good. I did like quite a few songs from her first album, the one that, When We Sleep, Where Do We Go, blah, blah, What Do We See, with that long ass title. And I bought her second album, Happily Ever After, which was interesting but not as good. And one of the big reasons that I purchased this album right away was a couple of reasons. Number one, I heard the single that had been leaked, Lunch, and it's kind of catchy. Good beat to it. Good beat. You could dance to it. I'll give it a 98. And I also heard that this album is environmentally friendly in so many ways. The plastic bag that it comes in is biodegradable, and the paperboard that the album is printed on recycled paper. And also, the album itself, let me pull it out here. I know it's here someplace. Here it is. It's on sea blue or sea green, depending on how your eyes are, vinyl. And this is made from environmentally sourced, recycled, and possibly biodegradable vinyl. Now, I was scared. Biodegradable vinyl. So what's it going to do when I stick it in the ultrasonic cleaner? Nothing happened. And actually, sonically, the album sounds pretty darn good. And comparing her three albums, this new one has the most rememberable songs on it. And I'm going to live with it a bit more. And hey, I might even do a review online. But so far, I like it. I like it quite a bit. All right. So I alluded to it last week. And so here's what we're going to do tonight. I'd like to bring people up on the screen and I'll talk to you. Well, if you've got a little camera there in your laptop, or if you've got a webcam sitting on there, there's this one guy. He calls himself Patrick the Vinyl Archivist. He's got like a camera over here. So whenever he's on anybody's live stream, he's always talking like this. He's never looking at the camera. It's really weird. Just always got the baseball hat, always talking to somebody off screen, and he should be talking anyway. That's all right. He's a good guy. I like him. He's cool. But what I'm going to do is I am going to put a link in the chat room. Okay. And if you would like to come up on the screen, let's see here. All right. Good evening, Chief Dancing Ostrich, aka NBC was wrong to cancel Quantum Leap. And you got the new Taylor Swift album, Tortured Poets Department. Very nice. I have not, because I streamed it online and I really didn't hear anything I liked. I could have bought it, but instead I bought, as I showed a couple weeks ago, the Reputation album, because this is a very interesting techno album. It's got a lot of bangers on it. Anyway, but okay, so I just dropped a link in the chat room. Now, if you want to come up on screen and talk with me, you go ahead and click that link and follow the instructions. Now, if I do bring it up on screen, if you've already got a YouTube window open on your computer, mute the sound on that, or else we're going to get echoes on here. And if we can't get rid of the echoes, I'm going to dump you from the stream, and I apologize ahead of time. But anybody who wants to come up, talk with us about music and present yourself to the world as it is, I'll be happy to have you up there. So it's that link that I put in the chat room, streamyard.com/blah, blah, 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 blah. Check it on out. Yeah, you hear? I'm waiting. Excuse me. The coughing is being minimized, by the way. He says coughing because I've started taking some medication for it. That was, let's see. Okay. Chief Dancing Ostrich, I see that you're trying to get in backstage, but your devices are not connected. If you can get away for your camera to work and I can see you, I'll bring you up on the screen. Also, boys and girls, no politics, please, tonight. And, keep it relatively clean, or else I will have to dump you from the screen. So you might want to go out and then go back in again. I see you backstage. NBC was wrong to cancel Quantum Leap. and can't bring you up like that. So let's see. Let me check something else here. Nope. You might want to close that window and then open it back up again. Anybody else want to join the Worldwide Box of Sound chat about music? Kevin? Michael? Paul? DJ Trish? Anybody? I know that if Metal Theologian is out there, he'll come up on the screen and he will drop some knowledge on you. I admire that dude. He knows a lot about music and a lot about other things as well. But what else? Summer is practically here. It's not officially here, but we got some nice, decent, warm weather here. Let's see. Michael's gonna try. Yeah. By the way, yes, StreamYard does not support Safari, but they do support Chrome. They are very Chrome friendly. So, yeah, if you've got Safari on your computer, and once I switched to Chrome, it was so easy. I never went back to Safari. The only thing I use Safari on is on my phone because it's the default. Anyway. Okay. Your phone and StreamYard don't get along. Okay. Man, all these great people that I'd love to have on, and they're not on. Whew. So, what else is happening here? Records I've listened to lately. Last night, I just had an overwhelming urge to listen to this album, Crescent by John Coltrane. This is the Acoustic Sounds remaster of it. I believe cut by Ryan K. Smith, but I could be wrong. And this is wonderful. If it the stuff that's coming out of Acoustic Sounds is great. And by the way, I saw an ad today that the Yes album, their third album, the one that was the first album to feature Steve Howe, that is going to be being made available any day now on the 2-record 45 RPM. Oh man, the wallet is twitching, but the funds are weak. Got a lot of household things to take care of, so I got to cut down on my record buying. Oh, here's something interesting for you, Frank Zappa, folks. I've got 2 different copies of the Zappa sampler. Somebody asked about this last week. Zapped, okay? And they're both the same as far as the record's concerned. The labels are a little bit different. And I know that there was another cover of the album that came out aside from this one. There was a version of this that kind of like had a collage of pictures of people on it. But the 2 albums have a completely different back cover. Isn't that odd? Strange. Excuse me. All right, Chief Dancing Ostrich, it says your device is not connected. I'm going to attempt to bring you up on the screen. Your microphone might be working because I had a similar experience like this during a podcast that I was producing. So let's see here. Oh, it says they will need to contact their microphone and camera before you can add them. So let's see. Can I put you? Nope. It won't let me bring you up, Chief Dancing Ostrich. I'm sorry. However, we do have here backstage, I recognize his face, a guest artiste and somebody who I talked about at length last week. And let's bring him up here. There he is, Michael P. Dawson. Welcome to the Box of Sound. How you doing?
Hello. Doing fine. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Let's see here. Just trying to make sure you don't feed back in here. So what's new in your area of the world this week? Have you heard about the Ed Man rumor?
Yeah, I saw it on Facebook the same as the others, so no
Yeah, so
verification, but
I don't know what to say. I'm hoping that it's wrong because I know that he had been going through a bout of depression since his daughter passed away, and I did see a post from him saying that he was selling his instruments, which
oh,
is, you know, as a fellow musician, you're thinking, oh my god. So
yeah, no, but I've seen on Facebook some people like I mentioned Chad Wackerman, Andre Cholmondeley has mentioned it, so some people are kind of in the circle
yeah.
are putting their imprint on it, so it may be true, but we have to wait for it to be confirmed.
Yes. So, like I said, I'm going to contact the Vaultmeister. I'm also going to contact Scott Parker, originator of the Zappacast, and see what he knows because they're both very inside on things. And as a matter of fact, Joe may have Ed's number, and he may have a way of getting in contact with him if he is still with us. So that's basically all I want to talk about. That. Let's see. DJ Trish is calling you Dr. Dawson here. And let's see who else said something. Somebody else called you the professor. Oh, there it is. Professor Music once again. DJ Trish.
Okay.
So, all right. So now that I've listened to your music, and I got to send you some more of my music. By the way, I had no idea you were going to send me that many records when I sent you my copy of. Um,
Yeah, you didn't know what you're letting yourself in for.
I enjoyed it. I was very happy.
Great. I'm very glad you were able to listen to it. Thank you so much.
And I also wanted to thank you for your positive review of the Spudlock album when you put it on your channel. Um, and as I made a faux pas when I saw your CD of the brand new Bug concertos and said the Brandenburg concertos because it was a play on those words.
Hmm.
Uh, when you reviewed my album, an honest mistake, you thought that the voice on "You Can't Do That in a Parking Garage" anymore was me. It was actually Todd,
Yeah.
but it doesn't differentiate that on the record. But it's neither here nor there. There have been some songs that we've recorded where we we listened back to it uh, years later and said, "Who is that singing? Is that me or you?" For example, we did a easy listening version of a song by Ministry called Stigmata. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not.
Okay. It was one of their more popular songs, kind of like a techno aggro metal thing. But they had a song called Stigmata, and we did an easy listening version of it. And we were going back and forth with each other saying, "Who sang on this, me or you?" I couldn't tell, but that was funny. So now, what is your main instrument?
Well, my original instrument was guitar. That's
Okay.
what I started with. And now I've moved to sax and flute. I consider flute kind of my main instrument.
Yeah, well, I see that your avatar, like on Facebook, is you playing a saxophone.
That's what everyone wants to hear. So I go to jam sessions and they don't want to hear the flute. They want to hear the saxophone, really. I mean, they really like the flute when they hear it, but
Yeah,
the other
it's
musicians.
it's that old jazz flute stigma that keeps on getting people. But if they use their ears instead of their eyes and what they've known in the past, they could work past that.
Yeah.
But we can't tell people that. Um, and now, are you a gigging musician? Are you a professional musician? Is that your main bread and butter?
No,
Okay.
no. Um, I spent my life doing a day job so I could do the weird music on my own.
Yeah.
I'm now retired, so I'm
Something
only
we both have in
doing
common. We both worked jobs that were hard, difficult, and probably monetarily rewarding, just so we could have fun playing in our little sandbox, making and listening to music.
yeah. I mean, there's I think no way I could have put up with what it takes to be a professional musician, just in terms of all the bullshit you have to go through.
Oh yeah. And there was a stretch of time in the late 90s when, even though I was working full time as an audio engineer, I was also part of a band, and we gigged out every weekend, 3 sets, 2 nights in a row for about 2 or 3 years. It's absolutely demanding. I mean, it's hard enough on people who are successful professional musicians, but to hold down a 40-hour-a-week job as well, it's damn near impossible. Let's see. By the way, for those folks out there, I'm going to put the link in the chat room again. If you want to come up on screen, I'll talk to you. And there it is. And let's see who we got some comments here. Let's see. And Thumbfinger says, "What is your channel link?" Well, it's very easy. Just search for Michael, middle initial P, Dawson on YouTube, and you'll find it very easily. So do that. And Thumbfinger, who is a bass player, also says, "I've done and am doing the same thing with music." Very cool. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He likes a lot of weird stuff. Let's see here. Not too sure if I get this. Just remember, it's a sandbox, not a litter box. Okay. For whatever that's worth. So I was thinking of whoever was coming up on the screen tonight, that I would ask them what kind of music they collect. But I know what you collect. You're into a lot of the stuff that I am. You're into a lot of progressive music.
That's
You're
right.
into Frank Zappa. Is Zappa your number one all-time favorite?
Oh, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to narrow it down that much, but I mean, Zappa's just incredibly important to my whole, musical life. So
Yes,
yeah,
same here. If I hadn't started listening to Frank Zappa,
you can see the
I wouldn't be.
mustache up there.
There it is. Yes, I see it. I wouldn't be into half of the music that I'm into now, and I would not have learned as much about music, not only as a player but as a listener as well. Just
Absolutely, Zappa is like a source that leads you to all these different avenues.
mhm.
When I first heard Zappa, it was the Uncle Meat album.
You're kidding. That was mine too.
Yeah, well, I had never heard any, I'd never really listened to jazz. I'd never listened to electronic classical music. I'd never listened to 12-tone music. And it was just opening up completely new vistas to me. I had heard doo-wop, so the stuff like The Air and that I could relate to what he was doing a parody of. But it was mostly just the first step on, wow, where does this lead?
Yeah, I mean, it was like 70. It was most likely 74, because I had remembered hearing Dirty Love and Dynamo Hum on the radio here in Cleveland, and I was talking to a friend about it, and he says, no, Zappa music went downhill when he started doing lead vocals. I'm going to loan you one of his records, and he loaned me a copy of Uncle Meat, and I put it on, and from the first strains of the xylophone, that's it. It was over for me.
Because I had never heard anything of Zappa. I was aware of Zappa and I had
Mm-hmm.
read an article or two, but I had, there was no airplay even on FM underground radio. And I really didn't know what to expect. When I finally kind of got, what happened was, it was first day of school, 1970. I was starting high school, 14 years old. And there was a girl in one of my classes who was carrying around a copy of Mother Mania. So I just said, "Is that good?" She said, "It's fantastic." And that was all I needed to hear. So within a couple of days, I picked up a copy of Uncle Meat, and I didn't know what to expect because I didn't really have any knowledge of what the sound world was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put it on, and I got the ding, 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 and I was, well, I wasn't expecting that. It was just, as you know, the album goes through so many different textures, sound worlds, assorted zaninesses, and I just knew that this was something I really had to explore.
Yep, I hear you, and it's so cool that the first album that you listened to is the first album that I listened to. I
That's
love it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was starting to get into classical music a little bit. I heard Stravinsky's Firebird Suite at the beginning of Yes's live album, Yes Songs, before they go into Siberian Khatru. And I started looking into that, and my grandmother got me a copy of The Rite of Spring, which at the age of 12 or 13, listening to The Rite of Spring is was about as difficult for me to wrap my brain around as it is for most people to wrap their brain around Lumpy Gravy. It was that disconnected for me. So I just kept on listening to it over and over again.
That
And
is one intense piece of music.
yeah, and just got into it more and more. And by the way, The Rite of Spring was also the very first piece of music I ever heard from a compact disc player, and it was on a very high end system at a hi-fi dealer.
And you notice besides opening with the Firebird on the Yes Songs album, there is a little bit of The Rite of Spring.
John Anderson sings it.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, he sings the beginning of that.
Yeah, I did see Yes on that tour. So that was the Close to the Edge tour.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really late. So it was late at night, and the lights went out, and they put on the Stravinsky, and I had no idea what it was. And it was the first time I ever saw the tradition of people holding up matches or lighters in the dark, waiting for the band to come on. And I just thought it was so beautiful to be in this. It was in a sports arena, and lights were out, matches were lit, and it was like a whole field of stars.
Is that like your first big time rock and roll concert?
It was not, but it was pretty early on. It was, I'd been to other shows, but they just hadn't started doing that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to see Yes until a few years later, because I'm a few years younger than you. But my very first rock and roll big time rock and roll concert, that is, was Jethro Tull's Passion Play tour.
Ooh,
and
amazing show.
Yeah, that was great.
Passion Play is my favorite Tull album.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned that one video that you made where you had the album that was recently reproduced by Steven Wilson that had the music that was missing.
Disaster tapes.
Say it again.
The Chateau Disaster tapes.
Yes. I really want to get a hold of that.
Yeah. No, my first big rock and roll concert was, in fact, Iron Butterfly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was apparently, according to Wikipedia, the show I saw was the last performance by the In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida lineup in December 1969.
Uh-huh.
And that was at the San Diego Sports Arena. And they announced from the stage that they were recording the show for a live album. So the Iron Butterfly live album came out a few months later.
I was looking at that last night. Give me a second here. Let me just pull that out. Let's see. Bobby Hutcherson, where is it? I had it right here. Here we go. Iron Butterfly live. The old collage cover. This thing here. And let's see. Does it say where? It says it was mixed at American Recording Company, but it doesn't say where it was recorded. How weird.
No. There's a lot of information online that's kind of conflicting. So I like to think it's from the San Diego show that I saw.
Yeah.
There is mention of San Diego in, I think, before the last song on side one. He said, makes a reference to the war, saying, a lot of our people are overseas right now, and next time we play in San Diego, we hope every damn one of them going to be back. But some sources say that they're recordings from Chicago, and some sources say that it's from San Diego, but from an earlier show in 1969 at the same venue. So who knows?
Yeah.
I think Doug Engel just took the secret to his grave.
Yeah. He passed away just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and he was the last surviving member of that classic lineup.
Yeah, so now everybody in Iron Butterfly is gone. Everybody in the MC5 is gone. Everybody in the Ramones is gone. It's weird that the feature that I do the most on this live stream is the weekly death notices. But hey, it's just the nature of time. It
sure
happens
is.
for everybody. Let's see. A couple of other comments here. Thumbfinger says, Primus did that for me, and it quickly brought me to Zappa and Beefheart and Residence. Primus for me was an odd discovery. I was in a new apartment, and we had just gotten our TV hooked up, and we turned on MTV, and My Name Is Mud started playing, and I could not believe that a guy was doing that kind of stuff with a bass. And I said, "Oh my God, they started making music for me again," and I was immediately hooked on Primus. So that's about it. And I'm surprised. Anybody else? Come on, you want to come up on the screen with Michael and I? This is kind of fun. One more time, I'm going to put this link up in the chat room. You need to get up on the screen and chat with us, because there's all sorts of stuff going on. Let's see here. And then Paul says, and by the way, Paul, it's nice to have you for more than the first 5 minutes of the show. He always mails me after the show and says, I'll watch the show on the replay. Is it safe to say Iron Butterfly is the most important rock band to ever come out of San Diego? There may be more, but I can't think of them now. Well, with you being a California resident, you'd be able to answer that better than I could.
Well, they're the most important for me. They're not a, let's see, there's Rat, there's Rocket from the Crypt, and there's Gary Puckett in the Union Gap. Now, there's an important band for me.
Gary Puckett in the Union Gap.
Gary Puckett in the Union Gap. Young girl, get out of my mind.
They had the largest number of songs about cheating.
That's right.
But the first one, Wax. Are you talking about the duo
Rat.
of what?
Rat, R-A-T-T.
R-A-T-T, Warren DeMartini's band. Okay. All right. For a second, I thought you were talking about Wax, the duo of Graham Gouldman and Andrew Gold. but that's
Oh,
a completely
yeah.
different thing. But yeah, Rat was pretty big back in the day. But yeah, I think that Iron Butterfly made a bigger splash than Rat did, uh, looking at the entire spectrum of everything. And let's see, what other bands are you a big collector of?
Well, Jethro Tull,
Okay,
um, King Crimson, and I'm a big jazz listener, so there's that
okay,
side. It's not just rock groups. Big jazz, a lot of classical world music. I have a pretty fairly eclectic
yeah.
collection, as I'm
E-
sure
e-
you do.
Even though I am a huge rock fan, like my
I
number
heard you
two.
go past Bobby Hutcherson while looking for Iron Butterfly.
Yeah, like my number two, I mean, my number one, a biggest collection of records is of course Frank Zappa, but number two and number three are pretty much Miles Davis and John Coltrane.
Oh yeah.
Um, and and if I could afford them, I'd collect more records by Sun Ra.
Oh. I'm very into Sun Ra right now. I'm reading a book about him. So listening to a lot of stuff. I'm picking up a couple of the recent reissues. I do not I have a lot of his stuff on vinyl. I do not
Uh-huh.
have the old Saturn pressings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a few years ago, there was a big reissue campaign of a lot of the old Saturn stuff, and I bought as much as I could afford at the time. Got about 8 or 10 of those records, and they duplicated the original labels and everything, and I was just eating that stuff up with a spoon. That's great. Like Continuum. Let's see, Cosmic Tones for Mental something or other.
Therapy.
I pulled them out, but I can always just go to my list here that I have on my
Yeah,
computer.
Cosmic Tones for
Let's
Mental
see, Sunrise.
Therapy.
Oh, Cosmic Tones for Mental Therapy. That's it. Okay. Yeah, continuation. Monorails and Satellites, which is a solo piano album. Um, what else? The Subdwellers, Angels and Demons at Play. Love that one. Strange Strings. Just yeah, whenever I think I've got enough Sun Ra in my collection, I run across a record I'd never seen before, and I say, "Yeah, I got to pick this up." So I just do that.
Yeah, I
But,
just
but yeah,
ordered.
I'm also deeply into, as you may already know, the Residents and XTC. Um, and
What's your
I
favorite XTC?
my favorite XTC album,
Yeah.
it's got to be Black Sea.
Mm.
Even though the first album I heard was Drums and Wires, and I just love that album to bits. When Black Sea came out, it looked like took that album, used that like a trampoline, and just it's still my favorite XTC album. I mean, English Settlement is awfully damn good. There is not a single bad or poor XTC album. For a
Oh no.
while, None Such was kind of like not in my favor. But when Stephen Wilson remixed None Such and they put it out again, he improved the sound of that so much that it just sounds so much better. And he also really improved the sound of Oranges and Lemons because that was done with early digital and it suffers from that 80s sound where they cranked up the treble on everything. So I religiously buy any of the Steven Wilson XTC remixes.
That's interesting. I don't have those. Oranges and Lemons is probably my favorite. I
Okay,
have
that's
only
good.
the old CD, so I have to look into that one.
Are you into the Dukes of Stratosphere stuff as well?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's another one that Of all of the surround sound mixes that Steven Wilson has done of XTC, the Dukes of Stratosphere one is the one that I've listened to the most. He really completely reinvented the wheel on that. And what I love about his surround and Atmos mixes is you definitely experienced the old quadraphonic boom of the late 70s. And you would pick up an album that was popular in stereo and they put it out in quadraphonic. Whoever mixed the quadraphonic version wanted to reinvent the album, and they changed the sound of the album so that if you were familiar with one, you weren't familiar with the other, aside from the melodies and things like that. And that's what some people have been starting to do with surround sound mixes. But Wilson, he starts with the stereo mix and then stretches it out. And it's it's amazing how good of a job he does translating something to a surround sound format and keeping its integrity intact.
Yeah, I've really been following his work with Jethro Tull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a couple of his Jethro Tull remixes. I've got the book version of Heavy Horses, and oh, I got a lot of Jethro Tull too. I really kind of stopped listening around the Crest of a Knave time, but I did pick up The Thick as a Brick 2, which I was a little disappointed in. Um, I've met Ian Anderson a couple of times back when I was a part-time journalist and interviewed him a couple times. He's a great, great guy.
Mhm.
But aside from that, I love going into the I love living in the past with Jethro Tull music in
Oh
general. Yeah, and I also like Gentle Giant a lot, and I've got a few of the Steven Wilson remixes of that as well.
yeah,
And what else? There's so much good music out there. People say, how can you have such a big record collection and still want to have more records? When are you going to listen to all those records? And I got two good answers to that. Number one is anytime I want, I can pull it out. Because lately, with watching a lot of vinyl community videos on YouTube, people start talking about records that I've had for a long time and haven't listened to for a long time. I pull it back out and rediscover it all over again and listen to it with these ears that even though they're older and technically not hearing as good as they're supposed to be, they sound better than ever.
yeah,
Because and anybody who's younger and is scared about losing your hearing, protect your hearing, because even if you do lose some of your top end, the fact that you have more experience listening to music makes you a better listener, which makes you more capable of enjoying the music that much more. So
yeah.
basically it. You can listen to music
I,
anytime you
I,
want, and your experience makes you better.
I can definitely speak to the loss of high end. Everything sounds perfectly fine to me, but I watched a Beatles video on YouTube recently where the guy who does a regular Beatles presentation once a week, he went into Abbey Road and they were playing tapes. He'd gotten a master of Sergeant Pepper from Australia or something, some audiophile master tape from Apple Records. And he got the people at Abbey Road Studios to play it. And it was amazing to see all the equipment, but they played a 15 kilohertz test tone. Somebody in the comments complained you should put a sensitive hearing warning. I couldn't hear a damn thing when they played that test tone because that's no longer in my repertoire.
I will have to find that and check it out because
Yeah.
also I'm wondering with the YouTube algorithms and the compression that they do, if it would kind of like make a 15 kilohertz tone, I think that would be the absolute top end of what you could hear on YouTube.
Well, apparently, the one person could hear it, so it must get
Huh.
through. I know I've not tested my hearing in years, but I don't have anything above 13 or 14K. That's gone.
Yeah.
But think about it, that's less than an octave.
Yeah.
So that's not a great deal of musical information to lose, because that whole
True.
range, 10,000 to the absolute top end of human hearing at 20,000, that's only an octave of music. And
Yeah.
it's not an octave of, melodically usable music. It's just overtones.
Yeah. I've tried to protect my hearing, and I've carried around earplugs for most of what I consider my musical life. And I wear earplugs during most loud concerts, unless they're not loud enough to really hurt my ears. I started doing that when there was a couple of concerts, mostly Depeche Mode, and also I saw a band called the Revolting Cocks in a small club, and I couldn't hear much of anything for a couple of days after those two concerts. That scared the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
So since then, I carry earplugs.
Yeah, I use earplugs even at smaller things, like when I play at jam sessions. In a bar. It's still loud enough that I try to protect my hearing, but most of it is really simply age. That happens as we age, and unfortunately, it happens more to us men than it does to women. We lose more of our high end.
Yeah. Do you get any tinnitus at all? Any ringing in the ears?
Not substantially.
Yeah.
It happens a bit, but it's not bothersome.
Yeah, for me, it's very sporadic, and strangely enough, sometimes when I get a ringing in my ears, I can hear what tone it is. It's like, oh, that's an A.
Oh.
But then the more I concentrate on it, it goes away. And I've heard that some hearing loss is not just the ears wearing down, it's also neurological. So I don't know. I'm not an audiologist.
Yeah.
So on that note, we've got 3 minutes till the top of the hour. It has been an extreme joy having you on here. And
well,
I just wish I could have got more people.
Yeah. Next time the rest of you guys hop on.
Yeah, really. So maybe next time. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try and do a record sale. I'm going to be purging some records out of my collection. I'm going to try and price them conservatively so I can spread it to you folks in the world. But we'll see what happens. But I want to thank you once again, Michael, for stopping on by. I'm gonna take you out of the mix and take you out of there, and have yourself a good night and a good week. And well, no, I'll tell you what, I'll keep you on for a few more seconds, because I want to say that I want you to stay tuned for your local news, except on the West Coast. Had a great time. Hope you too. And go listen to some music. Do yourself a favor. All right. Have a good night, Michael. I am removing you. Great guy. That was very, very nice. And let's see. A couple of folks were asked about Roman. Roman's busy upstairs playing video games. Plus, he had a very busy day. He could have fallen asleep already. So that's that. Thank you all for jumping on the stream and at least watching, listening, commenting. Hit the like button if you have a chance. And we may very well see you next week on this thing. Let's put on some more weird music in the background. And later. Yeah, I'm sorry that it did not work out, Dancing Ostrich, but we'll see what happens. All right, that's it. 59 minutes. I'm out. Have a great week.